Hey YouTubers, it's just me. I was just watching a YouTube not a few minutes ago, and got me interested in posting what I'm going to say. It was about paranormal experiences and stuff. I know quite a few people believe there's no such thing as ghosts or all that stuff. Um, I have quite a few experience with ghosts and spirits since I think I was about 8 or before that. Of course, my first experience when I was 8 was when my one aunt who married who passed away, and even when mom felt her presence too. I was at our when we were living in Guelph. Both of us felt my aunt's spirit in our basement apartment at the door, so me and my mom felt this too. And later on, I never really felt much experiences after. Well, the next one I felt was in 93, 94, I believe, when my great grandmother died. You and mom felt this too. It's weird, but further after she died, my great grandfather, which was her husband, he died a year before I was born in '78. She actually felt his presence at my bedroom door, and of course my mom felt her presence. My great great grandma was present at her door, but that's what I felt was a couple presents, one at the bottom of my bed, and then my of course which is later on was my great grandpa, and then my great grandmother, and that's when I was about 14. And I never really felt any much spirits or presence till my great when my grandfather died in 2001. Um, I felt him shortly wrong, definitely wrong when he died. Because actually in my bedroom, I felt him and I sort of seen him. Like I knew he was in his night when he got married to my grandmother. When he was in his, I felt his sort of seen his 20-year-old body, and of course the face I grew up with. He stand up properly, and of course my mom never felt him, but I see and felt his presence. And found out that day my grandma came down to see in London at the time, and I was living in London. Um, her, of course, for 2 years came down and turned out my grandpa was dead. So of course I was the only one who actually felt his presence, and that was I think years since I had at that time in 2001. And when I moved to St. Thomas, um, I had quite a few experiences. One was when I was living on Chestnut. I'm not going to say the address, but I was on Chestnut Street. A gentleman, was one of the elder gentlemen that I was hanging around with. Um, he just came back from the hospital, and of course, and a few days after leave, he fell down in the house. And of course, I was standing there watching the paramedics working on him and all that. And of course, I felt his arm sort of pulled me back into the room I was standing in. And I knew something was wrong because, of course, I can sort of sense spirits, but can't actually see them. But around midnight that night or 1 o'clock in the morning, I know it's early in the morning. I'm being told that he died. Meanwhile, I had someone who passed away beforehand. And after that, nothing much. Then, about a year and a half ago, before I moved into this other, after I moved out of this other place, I moved on to this house that was on Walnut, which is beside the old St. Thomas Church. I'm not going to say the address or anything, be on the safe side. I lived there about 4 or 5 years, and quite a few people who lived there prior that I knew said that they felt presence or hear a baby crying. And I was talking to the owner who had that place, who owned it as a bread and breakfast. He told me some spirits him and his wife had was the room that he had was on the main floor, and of course there was a bathroom off to the room, and between the bathroom and bedroom there was stairs going up to the second floor that they can just use themselves. So one day, he got up, and of course his wife was still in bed, and a gentleman um, just came down and laid beside her in bed, and she thought that was her husband, and it wasn't. The guy's name was Opie, but but he said he had a psychic there, and of course this place was on Creepy Canada, so that was an interesting story to hear it by the owner himself. And then living there, I never really heard the baby cry, but um, quite a few times I could smell old pipe on the second floor, and it's really strong. And there was a gentleman who smoked a pipe, but it wasn't the brand he used. And well, of course, another guy who lived there, a good friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name, but he actually can sort of see them, and he actually saw this old guy. And of course, living beside a cemetery, he could see some people from the cemetery walking by, like around the gravesite, but that was really interesting because him and me actually experienced what he saw, I felt, this old guy stood between us. And I turned around and asked my friend if there was someone behind me, and he said yes, there was. And I know he would not pull my leg on this one. That was interesting. And the last, I think, experience I had there was smelling perfume. Not that much people who lived there wear perfume, so it was like a strong perfume, especially on the woman's bathroom. It's of course right across right from my room, and it was interesting when living in an old house, especially by an old church. You can believe me or not, but it's my experiences there. And last, well, I'm not supposed to my last one, but the one I had before I moved out was there's a story about this lady, the owner's niece who worked there years and years ago. Um, so wanders through the place, and actually I felt her touch my arm a couple of times, and I thought it was someone waking me up, like my mom. And I said, I'll be up in a minute. No, it wasn't her, and I felt that twice in my room, and I actually felt it. And the last experience I had was in 2010, so about 2 years ago. It was actually at my aunt's funeral. I have this tattoo on my arm. It's a horse windmill. It was the Holland side of me because my grandparents from Holland. So when the whole family was at the gravesite and my aunt went down, actually I felt her touch my arm. And the only people was beside me was my mom. Actually, it was my mom and my grandmother. I know two couple people was beside me, and I knew he never touched my arm. And I felt over the two figures. So that was interesting, especially from my great aunt. I only know her a little bit grown up, so that was my paranormal experiences. I know this. I would love to hear your comments about that, if you believe it or not. But I know there are spirits out there, so I love to hear your comments. So if you want to make a comment, just put it down below. And hopefully you do believe me. Trust me, it's spirits feeling around and knowing that they are around. So, peace out.